Hello and welcome to Blog of the Net's football podcast, the World Cup edition. I'm joined by 2018 merch with my shirts around me. Good tournament, just enjoyed it. No reason, why not? Today we're going to look at the 2026 World Cup, of course. A little reflection on the group stages, some predictions for the knockouts. Before tomorrow we look at England and focus on them against DR Congo. So then we've had 72 matches to eliminate 16 teams. That all feels very worthwhile. You had 432 minutes of hydration breaks at this tournament so far. That's 7.2 hours. If you've sat through all of those, well done. And the fact that we've had these hydration breaks as well, it means you obviously can't score goals in certain minutes now because they don't stop the clock. So the 24th, the 25th minute, the 69th, the 70th minute, certainly. There'll be other little minutes either side. But certainly those, you'll never see a goal scored at the World Cup during those. Will we ever see a goal scored at a World Cup in those minutes ever again? Who knows? Please, hopefully, or change that. Stop the clock. It makes no sense. The goals per game has dipped ever so slightly. We're down to 2.96. It's still the highest ever in World Cup history. It will be interesting to see during the knockout stages if that number moves in ever so slightly. Clearly, the disparity in quality between teams after the expansion has made a difference here. It still remains the highest. But it's not quite over 3 as we saw a few games ago. The goal of the tournament so far, have we seen it? Wilson Isidore, that strike for Haiti against Morocco, it was a banger. Left foot, top bins, can't save it. You don't see many better. Personally, I like to see a team move as my favourite goal. Very often, a worked chance and some clever play. So you would think that Riyad Mahrez's goal against Austria would be my favourite because there were 110 passes in the build-up before Mahrez scored in stoppage time, a sequence that lasted over 5.5 minutes. It beat the previous World Cup record, cleanly. The previous record was 35 consecutive passes, set by England at the last World Cup, incidentally, but 110... that's unlikely to be beaten ever. I realised that game had some weird things going on, to say the least. Were two teams conveniently playing out a draw because they knew they'd both go through? Not for me to say, but it seems a coincidence that 110 passes to score a goal before that, and I don't think that'll be beaten. Not my favourite goal though. Sorry. There were some unremarkable games in that third round. Paraguay, Australia was just one of 2 games across the whole group stage to feature no big chances. That ball draw played out to a 0-0. The other one was actually Netherlands-Japan in the opening round of games. That was a 2-2, but that also had no big chances. There were just 2 games with none across the group stages, which is not too bad. In the end, the worst third place records was 3 points and a +2 goal difference. Talked a lot about teams scraping through with 3 points and negative goal difference. At one stage, that was a very, very strong possibility, but Senegal, with their +2 goal difference, actually had the worst record from the third place teams in the end. 7 of the 8 teams that went through had 4 points, so not too bad in the end. Still not something I want to see repeated. Don't want third place teams going through. It's bad formatting, but we've talked about that. Hopefully we don't see it again, as I said. Would anyone notice if Jordan weren't here? Would they? I think every other team, even if they've been spanked, have had something to mention or talk about, or they had a red card or something. I don't think anyone would ever remember if Jordan were at this World Cup. I'm really sorry to any Jordan fans that are upset by that. I mentioned we'll talk about England at a future date, but I have to talk about the fact that Jordan Henderson becomes the first England player ever to play at 4 World Cups. Well done to him. I know all England fans will be extremely delighted by that stat because everyone is really happy that he's in the squad. Well done, Jordan Henderson. Okay, we did some predictions last time on who's going to advance from the third place teams. I managed to get 7 from 8. I put Scotland through. Statistically at the time, that was looking quite promising for them. But that began to unravel as the days went by and as they continued training as normal, hoping to go through, but they didn't quite. So not too bad on that one, but no, didn't quite work out. Canada and South Africa is just the third knockout match in World Cup history not to feature a European or South American team. USA v Ghana in 2010 and USA v Mexico in 2002 are the only other knockout ties that have ever done this. There are no others in the last 32. And yeah, an amazing statistic. I see Canada edging that one in stoppage time. I think 1-0 for that one. All right, Canada and South Africa have already been played of our knockout stages. But we're going to have a look at all the others that, at time of recording, have not been played. Let's start with Brazil v Japan. We're going to do some score predictions here. Score predictions are stupid and fruitless, and I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it anyway. Let's look at some data. Let's see if we can back this up with some logic. I'm sure I can't. Both of these sides have scored 7 goals each. I think this could be a really tasty game. Japan with some overperformance. Their XG is 3.9, having scored their 7 goals as mentioned. They've conceded, though, just one big chance. So how will this go? I think Japan could do this. I think they could knock Brazil out, but I don't think they will. I think Brazil have enough in their front line to cause Japan problems, and I'm going to say Brazil edge it 2-1, but I'm not going to be surprised at anything that happens in this one. That's not me hedging. I'm putting Brazil through. I think there'll be bigger problems to come for them down the line. But it is a close one. Germany, Paraguay. This one feels very straightforward. Paraguay have conceded 9 big chances. Germany are the joint top goal scorers so far at this tournament. And Paraguay have only created 1 big chance themselves. I'm going to go 3-0 to Germany. Comfortable and no problems. Netherlands and Morocco, they faced at USA 94. A lot has changed since then. And Morocco looked like a really exciting team, of course. Were the first African team to get to the semi-finals at the last World Cup. I think this one's going to be really tight and a really exciting game. The Netherlands have had more goals in their games, 10-6. They've scored 10, conceded 6. But Morocco have a better XG and have had 10 big chances created to 5 conceded. So this could be a goal fest. But Netherlands have only created, in terms of their XG, 5.2. So a bit of overperformance for the Netherlands there. It could be a goal fest. I'm going to say it's 1-1. And I'm going to say Morocco edge it on penalties. Predicting the team to win on penalties feels ridiculous. But we're going to do it. And I'm going to say they go through. Okay, Ivory Coast v Norway next. Norway have created 14 big chances in the tournament so far. That's the most of anyone. They had a better XG and big chances created than France in a game that they lost 4-1 Norway. So you could say they were slightly unlucky there. They played their second string side, but too much quality for France. So yeah, got to give them credit. But Norway have conceded 7 goals, but 4 of those were against France, as mentioned. Yeah, high scoring in their game. So really, really tough to call this one. I'm going to say that Norway edge this one against the Ivory Coast. I'm going to say 2-1 to Norway. France and Sweden, no last 32 match has had more goals in their pairings than these. France games have seen 12 goals and Sweden games have seen 14 goals. Could be a goal fest, but I only see France scoring in this one. I'm going to say 3-0 to the French. Mexico and Ecuador. Well, we've only seen 4 goals in Ecuador matches, and 3 of those goals came in the game against Germany, where they finally got their stuff together and won their final group game. A lot of people tipping Ecuador to be a bit of a dark horse. Started off slowly. What can they do here? Well, Mexico haven't conceded a goal yet. Ecuador do have 5.1 xG, 9 big chances created, but they have only scored 2 goals. Some real underperformance compared to their underlying numbers. I'm going to say Mexico take this on penalties. I think it's going to be low scoring. I'm going to say 1-1. Could even be a 0-0. I'm going to say 1-1 and Mexico on penalties for this one. Okay, England versus DR Congo. A little bit more focus on the tactics and what we can expect down the line for this. But in terms of a prediction, England have created 13 big chances in their 3 games. Only Norway have created more with 14. And I think it'll be difficult, but I'll say England edge it 2-0. Belgium and Senegal. This could be a goal fest. Belgium finally getting their act together in their third group game as well, beating New Zealand after a slow start for them. Senegal, 10 big chances created, 9 big chances conceded in their group games where they saw a lot of goals. This could go either way. I'm finding this one really, really difficult, but I'm going to say 2-1 to Belgium. I'm going to say they just about edge it. I think bigger problems for Belgium down the line. They haven't looked fantastic. Senegal have had their moments. I could see them going through, but I'm just going to give the edge to Belgium on this one. USA versus Bosnia and Herzegovina. Bosnia are a strange team. Before beating Qatar 3-1 in their final group game, they hadn't won a match since November. That includes their playoff games, which to get them to this World Cup. They drew both of those against Wales and Italy, respectively, before going through on penalties. Yeah, they've drawn 6 and lost 1 before that Qatar game. So they've broken a little run of games there, and I just... they seem to do really well at getting battered and scraping through Bosnia, but I don't see it here. I think USA, whilst not been spectacular, they've certainly had their moments, and I see them winning 2-0, home advantage too much, and USA going through. Spain against Austria. 5 goals in Spain games. They have a 5.3 xG and a 0.5 xG against without conceding. So they're about where they should be, Spain, even factoring in a 0-0 with Cape Verde in their opener. They've recovered from that, and I see it being low scoring. Austria trying to make it awkward for them, and I think Spain will edge this 1-0 and advance. Portugal and Croatia, horrible memories of their knockout tie at Euro 2016, one of the dullest knockout ties you ever see. This could be a goal fest. You don't know what you're ever going to get with Croatia, and it feels like Portugal are a difficult one to predict for many reasons at the moment, not least Cristiano Ronaldo. So Croatia have scored 5 goals, they've conceded 5 goals, they've created 5 big chances, they've conceded 10 big chances. So being a bit lucky, you might say there. I'm going to say Portugal edge that one themselves as well. And I'm going to say 1-0 to Portugal. Switzerland and Algeria next. In terms of opposition faced, based on the FIFA World Rankings, no one has faced easier opposition than Switzerland, based on the average rankings of their 3 group games. And Algeria are tough to call as well. Talked about their game with Austria. They lost to Argentina in their first one, beat Jordan, and then played out a 3-3. Really hard to know what we're going to get from either here. I'll tip Switzerland just about, though, and say that they'll win this one 2-1. Why not? Australia and Egypt. Egypt have conceded 10 big chances. That's the most of any side remaining in the competition. But Australia have only created 1 big chance. That's the least of anyone left in this competition. So where does that leave us? That leaves us with a 0-0. I don't think Australia break them down. Equally, I think Egypt struggle as well. So I'll say Egypt edge that on penalties if they don't win it in extra time, and a ball draw in that one, unfortunately. Argentina and our favourites for the tournament, Cape Verde. Yes, they've topped the power rankings. We know all about them. We've been talking about them on this podcast and loving what they're doing. They advanced in second place with 3 points. Yes, they had less points than some of the teams that went through in third on account of drawing all 3 of their group games. An amazing thing to do in itself. They're unbeaten. They're invincible. But unfortunately, I think Argentina go through and have too much for them. I think Cape Verde will obviously try and make this really awkward like they did against Spain, but I'll say 3-0 to Argentina. I think they'll be comfortable. Finally, Colombia and Ghana. Now, we talked about Switzerland facing the easiest side. Ghana, statistically, based on FIFA World Rankings, have had it the hardest. They've had the hardest opposition based on who they've faced. Been 9 goals in Colombia and Ghana games combined. That is the fewest of any 2 teams that have been paired in the last 32. There've only been 4 goals in Ghana games. Scored 2, conceded 2. Colombia, just 5 goals in their game, with a 0-0 against Portugal in the third one. Could have edged that one, maybe should have edged that one, and they've been impressing a few people, Colombia. I think this will be tight, but I do have Colombia to win it 2-0. So those are all of the knockout games of 32. Those are my predictions. Don't expect too many to go too well, but there is some data and logic to sort of back a few of them up. We'll see how that goes. And we'll look at England going forward, and we'll look at many other stats and data and more fun as we progress through the tournament. See you soon.